let's make ourselves a quick little plan document. So that way, if we don't get all the way through this in the next 15 minutes, we can pick it up on the next call. Please write that to a admin portal. Let's add setup.md file with the simplest. And let's do to get a MVP for my include any details about this app that they need. So I tell it to write it for my dev because it has no idea that it is the dev. Do not make other changes. So that the AI does not know that it's building this. It just is responding with the most probable answer, the most probable string of tokens to whatever you typed in. So I have it write it for a dev. So it becomes a little bit of a spec doc rather than for itself. Makes a little bit of a difference in how it behaves. Now, if you want, you can set up rules. I have a rule in here in Windsurf that I tell it that it wrote the code. I have a little rule that goes out, says, you wrote this code, so don't go saying have a developer look at it. Don't go saying have your developer screwed this up. Don't waste tokens on that sort of thing. And it saves time. A lot of times it wants to just be like, oh, your devs did something and you need to go talk to them about it. You can skip that by giving it a rule that says you wrote this. Don't blame it on somebody else. Even if it didn't write it, it's okay. You could import any other code and that rule will apply and save you a lot of time. Okay, so it wrote this document for us. Admin portal setup. And that looks pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and build it. New chat. We are going to go ahead and say review and start implementing the admin portal setup. Do not change anything else. And do it one step at a time. Update the document with your progress as you go along. That way, as we go, it'll do a piece and we can update the document and then just do this in general. You don't know when you might be going along and get called away to do something. Have your next task planned out and then go through and have the AI update it as you're going. So write the plan, have it updated as it goes through. You can get called away and come right back and say, 3 days later, hey, here's where I left off. I can just pick up and keep going. It will make it much easier to keep track of where you are, not build things twice. Sometimes the AI forgets what has been built. So if you go back in and say, hey, start building this piece and forgot that it was halfway done, this will keep you on track. So I recommend that highly. Here it used the tool to create the table for us. Let's go take a peek at that. There's our admin table. Now we have table for our users. That's excellent. This MCP that it's using here is file system. All of these AI powered IDEs have their own file editor tool call that they can make. I have the file system MCP installed because it gives them the ability to pull a little bit more context in, but you don't have to do that. That's why this might look a little different if you're using Windsurf without MCPs. And again, if you want an in-depth dive into MCPs, hop over to the Opeachy YouTube channel. We have a bunch of stuff on MCPs here, so you can see how they work, how to set one up for yourself, where to get them, all that sort of fun stuff. All that's right there on the channel. Awesome. Made an amazing password there for us. Super secure, admin123. Highly recommend it. We can go ahead and change that later. Let's see what it's built out so far. Here's our MD file. It's updated our requirements and added some of the pages here. So now let's put in the admin user. Here we go. It says step 1 is complete. Move on to step 2. And see, it marked it off right there. That was a really fast 1 to 2 days. Now we haven't tested it at all, so it works yet, but it's there. Here's that fancy little error from Anthropic because they seem to be having some issues again today. If that happens 3 or 4 times in a row, if it errors out multiple times in a row, just stop it, change models, and go again. Windsurf has a max of 20 tool calls. So it did 20 actions here, whether that was looking something up or making a change. And then it hits this button where you can continue. That is how they manage their credits, because when you're sending a command, that's what they charge you for. You send a command, they charge you for that. And then it does all the tool calls inside there for the cost of that command. And that's how they manage their costs there. They do a max of 20 tool calls. That continue button is there. While that is running, I just want to see here if there's any errors showing. We didn't put a favicon in anyway, so not surprised there. If there's any errors showing about why we are not seeing our products in the live version. Let's have an idea about why that is. I think that it's got something wrong with the database URL here. So we're just going to change that out and rerun it. Well, it didn't, there wasn't any difference there in the URL versus what we have. So that was not the issue. Go ahead and copy this over here and copy our URL and redeploy with that. Make sure it has all the pieces it needs. Let's take a look at how our developer is doing over here. What has happened since we said continue? Created a sidebar. Okay. Got our control here for login, log out. This is our admin folder, our primary page. We're accessing that. Looks like we created a products table. What do you want to guess that it forgot the database connection there? Chances are high, in my opinion. Created a directory. Which one did it make here? Orders. It's creating the order page. And we ran into 20 tool calls. We'll tell that to continue on. Generally, when I'm doing a build like this, where it's just doing the first feature setup for all of this stuff, I don't normally go through and change the conversation context. I just let it continue through with its initial setup unless it starts to struggle. If it starts to struggle, then I make sure the document is updated and open a new chat. But generally, I will let it run straight through and then open a new chat before I start debugging anything or testing anything. Let it keep the context of what it's built in the same conversation here as it builds out the rest. We haven't changed our feature. It's all the same context. If I have said this before, hopefully it's a refresher. And for those of you who haven't heard it, the reason we change new context windows when we're going through this, I'll give you an example. Let's say that I went in and wanted to work on this product image issue and I get it fixed for production, which needs to be debugged after we're done with our backend setup here. I get that fixed on production. And then I immediately in the same chat go and say, I need to know why this shopping cart icon isn't changing, right? Like maybe it's static and the shopping cart icon isn't changing. It is in this case, but hypothetically. If you do that in the same chat, the AI receives everything you just did about the image changes and about the database connection. And then it also receives your request about this icon here. When that happens, the AI tries to conflate the two and say, what does this database product image thing have to do with this icon that isn't working? And it comes up with relationships that don't exist and don't need to exist. But it does that because all of that is in the context window. So you end up getting changes to stuff that you don't want changed because you didn't start a new conversation. And it goes back and says, well, that has to be related to the database because they sent me information about the database when they asked me about that icon. And so you end up with breaking other things on your site that you don't want to break while you go through and try to fix something. That's why we change context windows. In this case, it's all the same setup, so I'm not too concerned about it, even if it compresses the context window in the background. Okay, says it is all set up. And there's our super secure login information. See if any of it works at all. Okay, promising that we didn't run into an immediate error. And it gave us the route right here. Here's our admin login. Just curious, if I click on these, it does have them protected. So that's nice. It's not letting me get into them right away. Let's use this super secure as we reach the end of our time here today. And we have an internal server error. There it is. Admin login. So we have a internal server error logging in. It is 1:00. So that is the end of our adventure today from a time perspective. What we need to do next is go over here and say, I tried to log in. And it gave me this console error. Like this. Paste that in. And we will pick up there on our next adventure together. I know it's a touch over time here. I'm really glad that you all could make it. Hopefully you saw some fun debugging adventures and building adventures as we went along here. I hope to see you next week as we continue this build. It's kind of the full picture. You get to see end-to-end app build rather than just little micro fixes and things like that here and there. At the end of this process, we will have a functional e-commerce store and you can buy fake products that AI made up from that store. It'll be fun. All right. I'll see you all next week. Thanks for joining. Cheers. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, please like and follow. And if you need help building or finishing your app, click the link in my bio to book a one-on-one Zoom call to take a look at your project.